Hello, Planescape Torment again, isn't it? But it nearly wasn't, because things almost went wrong for a minute there. If you've been watching my channel in real time, as opposed to sort of, watching the playlist later, you may be aware that there was a little bit of a hiccup recently. What happened was, after 7 whole videos of dallying about, I finally installed the mods. Now, if you know about game modding, then you know that it's often used for fans of a game to sort of change it and fiddle with it and make it sillier than it usually is. That's not what I'm interested in with Planescape Torment. However, it had been sort of gnawing away at me that I knew there were mods that actually unlocked content that were supposed to be in the game, that were made by the developers and put on the disc, but which, for reasons of goodness knows, I don't know, time or whatever, were not actually available in the game. Well, that's exactly the sort of thing that a fan of a game that knows his way around a little bit of hacking won't allow to stand, and so the modding community has amazingly managed to go through the files included on the discs and basically restore everything that wasn't actually included in the original game. And that's a lot of stuff, and it was really, when I read the list of what stuff that was, it was gnawing at me that we didn't have it in our playthrough. You deserve it! I wanted to add those mods so that we could play the game properly, and as I was doing this, I was well aware that I had to be careful which ones I added, because there's one mod, which is usually the first mod that anyone puts on, which is the widescreen mod. And what this does is it simply unlocks the game's resolution, allowing you to play it on a widescreen monitor, so the picture stretches out to fill the screen. And while you're at it, you can increase the resolution so that it renders the whole thing at your monitor's native resolution. Which means, if you don't know, that essentially the game will zoom out. There will be no more pixelated looking graphics. Instead, each pixel in the game's graphics will be a single pixel on your screen, and the whole thing will be extremely crisp and extremely sharp, but also extremely small. To counter this, people have made more mods that make the text bigger and that change the sort of general layout of the screen, because now the buttons along the bottom are too small. There are gaps that need filling, things like that. Well, I tried the game with those on a few years ago, and alright, it was quite fun, but it's not what I'm here for today. I basically want the actual experience of playing the game like it was then, because it was amazing then. So I wanted to keep the graphics the same, but there's no reason to rob ourselves of some of the game's content that should have been in the game to begin with, is there? It was lucky that I didn't want to change the graphics, because one of the side effects that the graphics mod has is it means you can't use your existing saved games anymore, and I couldn't risk that because, we're hours into this Let's Play. So I didn't install the graphics mods. In fact, I didn't install anything that anyone said might jeopardize your saved games. Luckily, nobody said any such thing about the actual restored content mods, so I put them on and I started up the game. And it didn't work. My save games would no longer load. I then faced a quandary. What do? I could carry on playing the game without any of the mods on, just the vanilla as-released version of the game. Actually, I think they already patched it once. And keep the save game that we had. But, I really want those mods, Some of that stuff sounded great. The other alternative, of course, was to play it all the way through again from the beginning using the mods, doing everything exactly the same, so that we could continue on seamlessly as if nothing ever happened, but, with the mods. And I didn't have time for that. And it was at that moment that I found out what kind of viewers I have on this channel. I have wonderful viewers on this channel. I have loyal viewers, hard-working viewers, viewers who are to be saluted for their services to trivial nonsense. Because a measly 24 hours after I put up a video explaining the situation to my viewers, I had been given multiple save files in which people who view my channel had gone through all the videos, installed the mods on their copy of Torment, clicked the way through the game exactly the way I did, and then saved the game and delivered it to me so that I could just carry on with my videos. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing! And I said in that video, while making it explicitly clear that I wasn't actually suggesting anyone should do this because it was a ridiculous thing to suggest, but that if anyone did happen to have the time and the inclination to do that, then I would reward them by giving them a free copy of Super Mario Land without lyrics. And I say free copy, it's not even on sale yet, so it's like a kind of an exclusive prize. For now, I'm still putting the song on sale at some point. Ultimately, this song has been delivered to 2 separate people. Number 1, to the person who delivered me the save file first and most accurately. And that person is Robotendo Draws, whose save file was exact, precise, right down to, where in the inventory the items are stored, and just every little thing that I'd done seems, as far as I can tell, to be exactly the same. However, the prize was also given to a second viewer, whose name my idiot British tongue renders as Andor Euston. Andor Euston? I don't know, I'm terribly sorry. And he got the prize as well because he was just so darn eager to get it. I told him, once he offered to do it, that it was already in progress, but he insisted on racing Robotendo, and eagerly delivered the save file into my lap after I'd unfortunately already sort of, installed the other one and kind of got on with things. So sorry about that, Andor, but you really knocked it out of the park with how much you insisted on doing this. So I felt like he deserved the prize as well, for two main reasons. Firstly, for sheer enthusiasm, and secondly, because having not expected anyone to offer, I certainly hadn't expected Robotendo Draws to offer. And Robotendo Draws is a friend of mine. Like, he was at my wedding. Well, he wasn't at the wedding itself, but he was at the show in the evening. You know what show I'm talking. I don't need to tell you about that show again, do I? Go over to my Demon Tomato Dave channel if you don't know explicitly what I'm talking about, because you should by now. It's called Return to the Forbidden Planet, and he was at that. So it seemed a bit sort of, favoritism-y if I actually gave, like, a prize to someone I know, especially when that prize is a song I've made. I don't know, it felt weird. But even better, these two men were not the only ones who offered to play the game through for me. They were merely the one who did it first, and the one who wouldn't listen when I said there was already somebody who did it first. So, there are two things that we can learn from this. Well, three. The first one being that I ought to get on with it and actually load this amazing save file that I have.
I feel stronger.
Ah, yes, now. I know what that is now, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but I was going to tell you the two things that this means. Thing number one, it means that we can continue playing the game. Thing number two, it means that my viewers have proven their commitment to this Let's Play series. And what that means is that I need to prove my commitment to it as well. So, we're going to leave the mortuary this episode. That's right. So far, the whole game has taken place in here, but everyone who knows this game knows that I'm just dallying around and that it really kicks off when I leave. So let's do that. But first of all, let's see if the new modded version of the game will allow me to click on this and get a description of it. Nope! Just made her tumble a bit. So there is one quest I haven't yet done in the mortuary, and it's the one where I go and get turned into a fake zombie by the man who is currently dressed as a fake zombie. But I don't really see any reason to need to do that at the moment. I'm guessing if it comes up later in the game that I need to look like a zombie, then I'll go back to him then. But other than that, I'm basically okay. So, I shall instead address the thing that happens at the start of my save games at the moment, which is that it goes, I feel stronger. And a level up goes out of my head, and that is something that Snow Demon Akuma told me about that I need to do, which is to say, that's me not leveling up, but being allowed to level up. Having the necessary points. I have to level up myself. Now, how do I do that? Ah, level up. There it is. Level up. Okay, so I guess I'll click that, and will I automatically level up, or do I choose things? Oh, gosh. I don't think I've ever done this before. Nameless one, fighter. Points gained. 1 characteristic points gained. Oh, I'm one little bit more characteristic than I was before. Soon I'll be able to go to parties and everything. Saving throws have improved. Well, that's good at some kinds of parties. 10 hit points gained. Fighting skills have improved. Have they? Don't remember fighting anything. Now, what I'm not seeing anywhere here is the sort of leveling up that I expect from, other RPGs I've played, which, isn't all that many, but usually it tells you you've got some extra points and you get to pick what to put those points into. I don't see that here, so it looks like it's basically going to be automatic. But I do have some information about myself. Here's what my current armor class is, and hit points, and max hit points. Now, that says 31. As I recall, I was at 21 last time I hovered my mouse over the bloke. So, the nameless bloke. So I guess that means that I've, got an extra 10 when I leveled up, or I'm about to level up. And then these are my saving throws, which is a D&D thing that I'm not really massively on top of. So what I did was I went and listened to a D&D podcast. I basically know nothing about D&D, but I'm aware that there are people who play it on podcasts, and I thought, well, what if I find one that is like funny people who haven't played the game before particularly, finding the way around it themselves. I've never played D&D. Which is not strictly true, actually. I played it once or twice as an adult, but never really clicked with what I was supposed to be doing, or perhaps just didn't click with the campaign. I didn't enjoy it, is the long and short of it, even though it's just the sort of thing really I ought to enjoy, having myself invented the concept when I was a kid without realising it already existed. I called it Magical Quest, and it involved drawing little maps of dungeons and little explorable places on graph paper, and putting little X's to represent items and so on, and then I got my brother to play through it as a wizard. It was really fun. I thought it was anyway, I don't know what he thought. But and then when I was a bit older, when I was a teenager, my mum, maybe having seen this, went to rather great lengths to track down a sort of a D&D starter set for me. Unusual behaviour, you may think, for the Christian mother of a teenager in the 90s. However, there's something I haven't told you about my mum, and that is that she is not a silly billy. Anyway, we had a great time playing that thing. It was called something like Dragon Quest, and it was a kind of an introductory, startery box set board game with little figures and a little dungeon master kind of booth that you put up with all of the information written on. And we played it together, me, mum, and my brother, and we had a lovely time. It was way too complicated for us to play it many more times than that. I think we played it 2 or 3 times, maybe just 2 times, something like that. But anyway, I liked it, I was inspired by it, so I should like D&D. But it never quite clicked. So, to understand it a bit more, so that I could be informed about saving throws and so on, I needed to find a podcast where people were playing D&D, and they were people I found funny, and they preferably didn't know very much about the game, preferably hadn't really played it before. And I found exactly the right podcast. About halfway through it, I was listening to it, I was enjoying it, they were funny, they appeared to be playing it with their dad, which I thought was quite a creative endeavour, and then a few little pieces of information started connecting themselves together in my mind. One of the men was called Travis. They were brothers. I realised what I was listening to here was the brothers out of the famous podcast, My Brother and Me, which, unless I'm grossly mistaken, makes one of them, Travis, a friend of a friend. Confirmed! In fact, since recording this, he actually Skyped my flat, and I didn't even so much as say hello. Small world, isn't it? Anyway, so from that podcast, and then asking a friend, in fact, mostly from asking the friend, I have ascertained that saving throws are a bit like this. Let's say I'm under attack from a wizard spell. That spell will have a number of points, like, say, 20 points. It won't always be 20 points, that's just an example, which is a reflection of how powerful the game makers want the spell to be. To survive it, I have to produce 20 points, or higher, from somewhere, and that somewhere would be a 20-sided die if this was a real-life round-the-table RPG, plus whatever extra numbers your character comes with. And to explain what comes with means, it says here that I have a save of 12 versus spells, which means that whatever happens, when that spell gets thrown at me, I already have 12 points. I just have them for free, and any extra points I have to gather up to defend myself get to sit on that nice defensive platform of 12 guaranteed points. Onto that, I can add any extra points I might happen to get from things like, say, wearing anti-spell armor or wards or whatever, plus whatever score comes up on that throw of the 20-sided die that I mentioned before, which randomizes the last bit of the calculation to account for the fact that in real life, random chance exists. And then, if after all that, you've scored less than 20, the spell hits you. If you get 20 or more points, though, you've dodged it or survived it or whatever, and you're fine. That's the basic premise. Of course, this is a computer game and not a round-the-table game of D&D, so the dice rolls are replaced with random number generators that roll virtual dice for you invisibly. And interestingly, if you like, this game does actually allow you to make that visible. And then your little chap either does or doesn't fall over and get killed by the spell. I think that's how it works. What I don't know is what this number, this 12 versus spells, is actually based on. In the tabletop game, your save is apparently made out of various bits of info, like what character class you are and what stats you set up on the equivalent of that stats screen a minute ago with the nameless one's face in the middle. I don't know which of those I'm looking at here, or if 12 is the result of adding it all up. Anyone? So I don't know really quite what they're getting at here. I'm guessing we'll find out, though. Save versus wands. Cool. I guess if someone uses a magic wand on me, then I've got 11 against that. I don't know how that's different from spells. I'm guessing maybe spells are things like thrown fireballs and stuff. Save versus breath? Absolutely no idea. If somebody has bad breath, I get to add 15 to my roll for not minding. I don't know. And then save versus polymorph? Wicked. I can add 12 to my alphabeti spaghetti. Now this bit's interesting. Thief skills points left 0. This is the bit that most resembles the sort of leveling up box that I'm used to in games. I would expect it to say, I don't know, 3 points that I've picked up, and then I would put, you know, if I wanted stealth to be my main attribute, then I'd maybe put 2 points in stealth, and then I could choose to be able to, you know, detect traps or pick pockets or open doors by 1 point. I think I would actually put them all in open doors because that gives you the most of the game. But then again, maybe stealth helps you to avoid fights a bit more. These are all good, actually. But I don't have that option, so what option do I have? I don't seem to be participating in this particularly, so I guess I just press accept and see what it does to me. Well, this is more what I was thinking of. Here I now have a character point. So I can add a character point to any of my stats here, like I did when I was building the nameless one in the first place, in the very first video. And this is quite nice of it. Look, it tells me that my dexterity is average, my intelligence is exceptional. So if there's any attributes that I'm really lacking in, I'd be able to find out here. Everything is in fact average or above average. Now that being said, I'm not actually at the point of the game where I know what I'm missing yet. What I want to do is get the most dialogue options, basically, because that serves us both here. Maybe later on I'll find that I need to be doing things like casting spells or fighting people. For the moment, I'm just talking. And I'm guessing intelligence is for that. So I'm just going to remind myself of what these do. More dialogue options. There you go, that's good. Oh, and mage skills. So it looks like if I'm going to be a talker, then that's going to make me a mage. Well, I accept. That would be cool. This is a guy who he's a tough-looking guy. He looks brawny and scarred and angry and gloomy and grouchy, like a man from a video game or something, which leads us to imagine that he would do things like punch people or have guns. But it would be interesting if instead of that, he was a super intelligent wizard. Oh dear, oh this is interesting actually, because I'm a little way into the game, so I do have a different perspective on what all of these different attributes do. And I now realise that with my strength points, if I had more of those, I could carry more weight. Now at the moment I haven't got a problem with that, but we all know how it goes. Pretty soon my inventory is going to either be full, or it's not going to be full, but I just can't carry any more stuff because it's too heavy for me. Now it's possible that the only heavy stuff you would ever need to carry is things like heavy armour and weapons if you were going to build a fighty man, which I'm probably not going to do, so that might not be a problem. Wisdom here, you see, that helps me recall memories, as does intelligence. So perhaps I'll use this point to bring my wisdom up to the level of my intelligence. It also gives me a bonus to my experience points, which means that it would be a shorter time before we got back to this screen, and we're able to give ourselves more attributes. So that's a good one. A constitution makes you healthier. That is until certain pressure groups start interpreting bits of it in weird ways, am I right? Charisma makes everybody like me, so that's good. That's a good way to avoid fights. And then dexterity makes me harder to hit and aids my thief skills. So, no, I do favour these three. And I wonder if they're put in that kind of triangle formation for that reason. These seem related, and these seem related. So do I want people to be friends with me, or do I want to level up quicker? Ooh. Well, I think for the first few levels, I'm actually going to level up quite quickly, so I think we can afford to put it down here for now. All of this, by the way, is because I've completely forgotten all of the advice everybody gave me in the comments for the first few videos when I was first building the character. But after this one, perhaps I'll go and read them again so that I'm ready for next time. Accept! And here we are again, in a screen that I've seen once before. Well, I mean, I saw it a minute ago, but before that I'd seen it before. But one of the mods changes the way it tells me about me Thaco, and this way is apparently better and has to do with Baldur's Gate. Now, my concern is that it's only better in the sense that it resembles Baldur's Gate, a game which people hold up as a bit of a holy grail to the extent where even if something from it wasn't necessarily great, wasn't necessarily 100% the best thing, people would still think it was and would still mod it into subsequent games. So I'm not 100% sure that this is definitely a good thing, but as I didn't understand the old one and I don't understand the new one, it doesn't matter, does it? I got the sense from the various reviews and write-ups of the mods that it was in fact better, but then also I got the sense that the graphical mods are the only ones that kill your saved games, which implies that I may be the first person to ever attempt to install the content mods without first wanting to install the widescreen mod, which a cursory search for other Torment Let's Plays on YouTube yesterday bore out. But we shall see, won't we? For now, let's... Oh, does he get to level up as well? He does! What's he got? He's got dexterity and constitution. Not so much strength, but then he is just a small skull. And I guess that's the point. They're going to be leveling up the characters themselves so that they can keep a hold on who they are and, you know, what sort of character they are and how they fit into the story. And that's all fine by me. So, I think it's portal time. It's portal time. Let's go. Here we go. This is it. This is tremendously exciting. This is tremendously exciting. There it is. Shall we go? Dear viewers, shall we step into the unknown and really play Planescape Torment for real? Here we go! Oh, that's the slab where I first woke up. And now there are tentacly ghosts hanging round it. Well, that was spooky. Ooh, okay, where am I? Oh, he did say something about a crypt, didn't he? Oh, this looks crypty to me. It looks cryptic. This sarcophagus, that automatically cooler than coffins or crypts. This sarcophagus appears to have read it too slowly. This sarcophagus appears to have been here for centuries. There is no lid. There is? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. But let's be good players. D&D is all about imagination after all, and we're lucky because most D&D games can be played just by, you know, a friend describing it to you with absolutely nothing to look at all. So let's consider ourselves lucky we have this much to see. So we'll imagine there is no lid. The exterior seems to be made of solid stone. Okay. It's weird
What's
that...
the holdup?
Well, it's just that I'm wondering about why I can't look into this coffin and, you know, pick things out of it if there's no lid. Oh, there's a bit of money on the floor.
Right.
Is that 30 or 50? I think it's 30. Pens, note. Right click. Oh, did the mod not fix that? Come on, it even plays the sound effect. It is clear you were supposed to be able to read them that way. Okay, let's find Pen's note. This note has been written with remarkable penmanship. Well, you would imagine so from a chap called Pen, wouldn't you? Upon the finest parchment. Vaxis, if you are reading this, then you have undoubtedly failed in your task and have been forced to use the escape route I arranged. Now, Vaxis, if I'm remembering correctly, is the name of the bloke dressed as a zombie, right? So, whoever he is, his friend Pen knew that he was going to, at some point, have to escape from the mortuary. I don't quite know what's going on, but it implies that he isn't a dustman, which was something that I wondered about in the last video because he knew about portals and so on. And we can also tell from this that he's not just someone walking around on their own in the mortuary, as I would be if I didn't have this skull with me. He is someone who has a support network of some kind. He knows people who can write notes to him. But they can't get those notes to him in the mortuary. They have to leave them for him on the other side of the portal that he knows about. Is this guy going to be able to get out of that portal again, or have I taken the only finger bone that would open it? I'm guessing any finger bone would do it. I think that's how the portals work, but we'll find out as the game goes on, won't we? I assume that, otherwise he wouldn't, you know, if it was his only way out of the mortuary, then he wouldn't tell me how to do it and then make it so that he can't do it, thus trapping himself. So if you're reading this, you've undoubtedly failed in your task. What was his task? And was it for Pen? And have been forced to use the escape route that I arranged. Now, does that mean that this guy had the power to actually make the portal exist there? Or do the portals just exist of their own accord, and this guy, all he did was maybe arrange for there to be some finger bones lying around? In which case, I may well have the only finger bone that can do it. Let's see. I told you that your little disguise idea was ridiculous. Okay, so he's hoping to get out of the mortuary by, you know, convincing the dustman that he's a zombie. Would they allow a zombie to just walk out of the mortuary? Maybe he's hoping one of them will give him a task that involves leaving the mortuary, and they'll get out that way. In any case, you'll need to lay low for a while. The dustmen may be deluded, but they're not fools, and they will certainly seek retribution for our intrusion. Our intrusion. So these are people who've infiltrated the mortuary. I mean, so am I. I've infiltrated the mortuary. I could be this guy. I could be Pen. I've left you some coins. Use them to secure a hiding place in the hive. Preferably in Ragpicker's Square. Okay, keep a note of that. Updated my journal. I have to go to the hive, preferably a place in the hive called Ragpicker's Square, and pay for, you know, a room in an inn, or pay for someone to let me hide at their house, or something like that. The dustmen will be unwilling to look for you there. Oh, okay. The dustmen don't like the hive. Once you've secured a new hiding place, I have a new mission for you. Find out where Farad is getting those bodies he's delivered. Well, that's already my mission, is to find Farad. So it seems like hey, for all I know, Pen could be the guy who wrote on my back that I need to find Farad. This could be a guy singularly driven to make people find Farad. So I was already going in the direction of Farad anyway. I may as well do this while I'm there. Find out where he's getting those bodies that he's delivering to the mortuary. Yeah, well, we already know that he's suspected of having dispatched many of them himself, don't we? It's apparently causing the dustmen a great deal of upset, and I wouldn't mind knowing myself. Reports are that the stone-faced dustman at the Gathering Dust Bar... Okay, so we're going to meet a dustman at a bar who can be relied upon to go to that bar, because it's a game and he can literally be there for the whole of his life, but in universe he can also be relied on to be there. Initiate Emmerich, I think the fool's name is, has been sending out finders to try and mark Farad's movements. So this is a clue then for a different quest, because we're already trying to find Farad. That's like our main objective. And now we know that there's a dustman called Initiate Emmerich hanging out at this bar who's going to be able to give us a tip-off and help us to find him. He might not want to, but he's able to, and this is the sort of game where I may be able to tease the information out of him in a number of ways. See if you can find out how far along he is, I certainly shall, and hinder his efforts. Oh, until we know more about Farad's activities. I don't want Emmerich finding out something before we do. Okay, so that's a bit of character flavour text for this Emmerich, who is someone we're definitely going to meet. I don't know if we're going to meet this chap called Pen, but we're going to meet Emmerich, and we're probably going to meet him first. And this is a good little bit of writing, because it means that when we do meet him, we already know something about him, which is that he's got a rival. There's a character who's against him, he's got an enemy, but I'm suspecting he doesn't know about this enemy, so I know more than he does in that respect. which is interesting. What else have we got hidden around the place? Is that something? It is. This brazier has long since run dry of oil. Only ashes remain at the bottom. Okay, so I'm guessing not a lot of people go in here very often. It's bright enough, though. There's a wall I can't get through. Perhaps if I was stronger, I might be able to break it down.
All right, all right,
Where can I go? Ah, there's a door. Oh. Oh, look. A cutscene. I didn't realise there would be cutscenes. At least not before I saw the name of the mod, which allows you to add subtitles to them. And here we are outside, and it's night time, so it's going to be difficult to see what we're doing. Is that random? Is that just because we happen to be here at night time in the game? Yes! 2:22 AM, gosh! Oh, I didn't know games in these days did day-night cycles. Well, I suppose I did, because this is post-Ocarina of Time.
The worst place we can be in Sigil at the worst time.
Sigil? Sigil? I have these past however many years it's been since this came out assumed it was Sigil. I'm terribly sorry, Rob Paulson, but I'm going to have to continue saying Sigil. I cannot get behind the pronunciation being Sigil. Because it's silly. Sigil. 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 And anyway, sigil is a thing, isn't it? It's like a rune. Isn't it? Let me look it up. An inscribed or painted symbol considered to have magical power. Or, archaic, a seal. Or literary, a sign or symbol.
What's the holdup?
Sorry, I was trying to find out how to pronounce sigil. And I'm saying it as sigil. Okay, so here I am, in a large space, which really, I'd prefer it if it was more visible.
This is probably the worst place we can be in Sigil at the worst time.
Sigil. The town of Sigil. Yes, I know. That's kind of why I'm delaying, because I sort of want to be able to see it a bit better. But see, those are hive thugs. I don't know if I want to talk to them. Who was that lady who went past a minute ago? She might be nicer. Oh, she's kind of running away from us. I'll find her in a minute. Oh dear, hive thug, harlot. Oh dear. No, I was going to risk it then and talk to a hive thug, but I kind of... it seems a bit risky. Oh no, this is really spooky. What's this? A huge monument. There's no name or plaque identifying what it is honouring. Well, I mean, I can't even see it. It's too dark. Ugh, it's spiky. I can just about see that. What? Oh, hi. Hi. Hi.
All right.
I seem to be in a fight. Alright, let's try it. Let's arm myself. What have I got? I've got my scalpel, I've got my knife. Ah, my arm! I get to hit him with my arm. Oh, it's just a generic club. Oh, come on. Somebody mod that in. Okay, well, I've killed him. And he's got some stuff that I can have. He's got a clock charm. Alright, well, this isn't how I was going to play this game, but I suppose it's nice to know that I can handle myself in a fighty-fighty situation. Oh god, look at the shadow of the monument. It's like a big scary beetle. Tout. Or toot. What's she touting? This smiling middle-aged woman, okay, that's nicer than the hive thugs I was having to deal with a minute ago, trots up to you and curtsies. Somewheres I can point out for you. For merely a single copper common, I can offer me services as a tout. Okay, so this is something called a hive tout. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what she's touting, but I can find out. Or, if I do know, because either I've played the game before, or I just happen to know for various reasons, then I can just say yes and hire her, or I can say no. But let's find out what a tout is, shall we? The woman looks at you skeptically, then shrugs. Okay, so obviously there she's going, everyone knows what a tout is, but... no skin off my back if this guy doesn't. A tout's a guide of sorts, sir. I can help you round this part of the hive, I can. Oh, well, yes, I could do with that. There's a copper piece. The woman palms the coin and curtsies. This part of the hive has gates leading west and south. Locations of note include the mortuary. Well, I know all about that. The gathering dust bar. Well, I need to go there, because that's where that chap who knows where Farrod is. The Dustman Memorial. And a mausoleum. I'd also recommend you stay away from a particular alley that leads southwest. 'Tis full of dangerous thugs. Ooh, golly. Do you know, I'm quite sure that that alley is what stopped me playing the game the very first time I played it. It sounds familiar that I went somewhere like that and, you know, never made it out. Okay, so I know where the mortuary is. I don't know who would ever ask that. Where's the Gathering Dust Bar? 'Tis in the southwest corner of this area, a dome-shaped building whose door faces southeast. The Gathering Dust's one of the safer, more quiet taverns in the Hive. Okay, good. That sounds nice. No wonder the dustman goes there to be quiet to himself. I don't think he'd do very well in a rough bar. What else can I ask about? The memorial, the mausoleum, where the west gate leads. So I'm guessing that's if you'd already had a little click around before you hired the services of this tout, but I didn't. So I don't know there's a west gate, but she does. And also there's a south gate. Well, I mean, I've used my copper coin on her. I could just leave and explore, but I've used my copper coin now, so I might as well get as much out of her as I can. So, where's this memorial of yours? Towards the middle of the northern half of this area. And by the northern half, I imagine she means a separate map. 'Tis a walled courtyard of sorts, with an open archway in each wall. There's usually a gaggle of dustmen mourning near the southeast entrance to the place. Okay, so a dustman memorial. Just specifically a dustman memorial, though, not a memorial for anyone. Mind you, dustmen are the people who care the most about death. Maybe nobody else does. Maybe nobody has, you know, so much as graveyards and stuff around here. What else? The mausoleum, that's probably what I just came out of. Mausoleum's in the northwest corner of this area. Big old square tower-looking building it is. Is that where I've just come out of? I'll go and check in a minute. Although I think I came out of the northeast, didn't I, rather than the northwest? So that might be worth looking at. And then there's these gates. The west gate, I'm imagining, leads to that alley that she warned me against. More of the Hive, sir. There's a flop house there if you're tired and looking to rest. Guess not. And the south gate? Just more of the Hive, sir. There's a tattoo parlour that way, and the smouldering corpse bar. Mess of toughs there, too. There's a whole building full of them. There's a building full of toughs. Is that just the local ruffians guild? Alright, and since we're here, let's find out what she thinks the mortuary's all about. Where's the mortuary? The mortuary's that enormous dome-shaped compound over in the northeast part of the area. The dustmen won't let you inside, though, unless you've got business there. Or if you're dead, I suppose. She smiles at you. Well, little does she know. Okay, thanks very much, lady. Now, what time is it? Ah, it's only 3:20. Oh, time paused while I was having that conversation. That's a shame. Frightened hive dweller. What are you frightened of? Is it me? Or is it all of these horrible things?
I've never seen something so ugly, I've not.
I know! You see a man in tattered clothing. As you approach him, he suddenly stops and begins to look around, frightened. So I can frighten him more and maybe get some stuff out of him. Or I can be nice. And I'm nice! I'm playing as a nice, intelligent, wise mage who happens to have the body of a prize fighter. Greetings. The man looks startled and then takes a step back. Hey, what you be wanting, Cutter? His voice is shaky and he seems taken aback by your scars. I've nothing on me, so don't. My rags are not worth the trouble.
Calm yourself. I'm not here to rob you. I had some questions.
He keeps a safe distance and his eyes dart from side to side as if expecting something to step out of the shadows. Questions, you said? And what might those questions be? Oh, right, so if I didn't have any money, because I've been really blasting through the mortuary section of the game, I could have just sort of beaten this guy up for some information instead of paying for the hive tout. Right, well, let's find out where we are, because from the graphics so far, I should have had more of a look around. I didn't, and as a result, I don't really know what this place looks like, but it looks like it might be a city, because it says,
Can you tell me about this city?
What do you want to know about Sigil, then? Okay, so if there was any remaining doubt, it is the city that's called Sigil.
What is this place?
The city. City of doors. The cage. Place where all doors lead to and from. Centre of the plains. Gets most of the backwash from all places too. Some say this is where everybody ends up at one point or another. Okay, so we've already learned about things like doors and plains from Dayanara, and this, it would appear, is the centre of all of that. So what that means is that this is a place familiar to anyone who played the Planescape expansion for D&D, or setting, or whatever the word is, who would have presumably heard about Sigil while playing that. And here it is, brought to life in front of them. Presumably that was quite exciting for them.
City of Doors?
Aye, you see, Cutter, the city is... He frowns, as if struggling with the words. The city's got a batch of doors scattered through it, and you see, the doors... He frowns again, then sighs. So, he's not very good at explaining the concept of portals.
The doors?
Let me rattle my bone box with a little more sense. You see, there's doors all over Sigil, but they don't always look like doors. They're more like portals, see? And they can be just about anything. A window frame, a picture frame, an archway, a barrel hoop, a pair of scissors that actually turns out to be a really weird shaped species of penguin, a house where the bricks are each painted a different colour arranged in alphabetical order, an owl shaped cake, a box of biscuits, a box of mixed biscuits, a biscuit mixer, a space between a table's legs, or a statue's legs.
And you're saying all of these things are doors?
He frowns again. Doors, portals, can be anything that's closed on all sides. It's hard to tell where they are unless you got the key to the door. That how you get here, Cutter? Through a door?
What makes you say that?
Oh, well, you don't act like you're from round Sigil, see?
What are those keys you mentioned?
Well, I've already established from Dianara that they can be anything. But it's such an interesting concept. The idea of absolutely anything can be the key to unlock a door, like a portal, in absolutely anything. And you have to get the right one and bring it to the right place. So you probably have to know where they are. It's really interesting. So yeah, the more I can learn about it from the greater number of perspectives, the better. Each door's got a key, which makes it open, see? Most times you won't even know a door's around you unless you got the key. Then the door opens and you can step through and take your chances. Trick is, you know how I was saying that doors can be anything? Well, so can keys. They could be a tune you hum to yourself near the door, a thought you'd be having about pastries, the particular leaning inside your personality which in another dimension would make you a brony. Whatever it is you picture when I say, imagine if yellow was inside out. The seed in your mind, born by a sidelong glance at a person you don't understand, that later grows into a full-on racist screed, or a little jig you do. Or maybe the key's an object like a piece of glass, or a cobblestone, or an iPad. Those pastries you were just thinking about. The meteorite piece that will merge the human and dinosaur world. Or a cobblestone, or a broken tooth. Anything.
Sounds pretty confusing.
You get used to it, you do.
Where do all these doors in the city go to?
Doors can go anywhere, Cutter. Some don't even lead to the same place twice. You see, such is the way and number of the doors that they lead to almost anywhere in the plains. Anywhere. It's just that there are so damnable many of them that it's hard finding one that takes you right where you want to go. What haven't we asked him? Which one have I already asked? And then there were subcategories in that. It was this, okay.
Where is Sigil?
Centre of the plains, to hear tell. Don't know from experience. I imagine every place touches here, one way or another. Not all of Sigil's as ugly as you see here, neither.
I had some other questions. Can you tell me about these slums?
Okay, so I guess I'm in the slums at the moment. That's what this is. Hey? He looks at you warily, and his brow furrows in confusion. What you wanting to know about the hive, Cutter? Oh, that's right. This is the hive. And then Sigil is the whole place, the whole central place where it is. Okay.
Why is it called the Hive?
I don't know. He looks frightened that he doesn't know the answer. Mess of streets, mess of people, mayhap.
What's around here of interest?
It, depends. Depends on what you find interesting, Cutter. Okay, gosh, there's a lot to ask here. I'm looking for a good time, or I'm looking for work, or I'm looking for Farod, which I am, or I'm looking for my missing journal. I'd forgotten that I was looking for that, so I'm going to go here first.
I'm looking for a missing journal. Do you happen to know where I might find one?
You're missing a what? No idea where you'd find such a thing, Cutter. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Okay, well, the next quest I've got to do is find Farod, so... Name's not one I know, Cutter. Who's he?
He's a collector, I think.
Oh, well then. He most likely has his kip in Ragpicker's Square, then. You might want to look there. During the day, that is. Not a nice place at night. Oh, I appreciate that it's got a day-night cycle and things are going to be different. Oh, it's nice.
Where is this Ragpicker's Square located?
Oh, that's where I was supposed to find a hideout, wasn't it? So I wonder if Penn, who is the chap who wrote me the note saying I should find a hideout, I wonder if he's a ne'er-do-well. It's a few blocks from here. Go west from the mortuary as far as you can go, and you'll run right into it. Careful when you're around there, though, Cutter. The collectors there don't always wait for a body to die before collecting on them, eh?
Got it, thanks. I had some other questions.
Alright, well this time I may as well ask what to do if I'm looking for a good time. Depends how good we're asking, really. And Mort just chips in. Yep! Well, there's the Smouldering Corpse Bar and the Dusty Bar. Although you don't look the cutter to be drinking bub with the Dusties. Any of the other places around here is just dangerous, so be on your guard. Okay, so the only safe places, according to this guy, is the Smouldering Corpse Bar. Although, I thought I already heard that that was quite dangerous. And then the Dusty Bar, which is presumably the one where we're going to find that chap.
What's dangerous around here?
Anywhere in the hive once dark falls. Then there's the Angled Alley. You want to be keeping yourself out of there, unless you want to be in the Dead Book.
Why is this Alley of Angles so dangerous?
He didn't say Alley of Angles, he said Angled Alley. Place of gangers and muggers, cutter. Don't be going in there, unless you want your next stop to be the mortuary. The alley's a big burnt wreck. Used to be a street, before some balmy mage burned it down one night. Hear tell they caught the fella, burned him in return, then put him on display at the Smouldering Corpse Bar. That's the hive for you. Cool. That sounds like lore to me, of the sort that's going to come up again later, because I get to go to this bar soon. This guy wouldn't speculate about there being someone on display at the Smouldering Corpse Bar if there wasn't something to do with it at the bar when I get there. So the story is there used to be a street, might have been a nice street, and then some mage burned it down. So they burned him down and then put him on display at the Smouldering Corpse Bar. I might have an idea whose Smouldering Corpse the titular Smouldering Corpse is.
Where's this alley located?
It's just south and west of the mortuary, and just south of the Gathering Dust, that Dusty Bar. Okay, so the Gathering Dust Bar is definitely the Dusty Bar. I suppose I should have figured that out from the name. Oh, wait a minute, the Gathering Dust. That's where the Dusties gather. Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's like assembly all over again. Possible some of the people who made this game had been to assembly, actually. Okay, I've already asked him. I've asked him everything now. So farewell. So, I actually got more out of him than I got out of the professional tout. He licks his lips as he turned to leave. Cutter, you might think you... He studies you for a moment. You could spare a few coppers for a blood who helped you on your way. Not many round here do that for a fella. Not many around here, comma, do that for a fella. I think what you mean is, not many around here do that for a fella, but okay. Enough for a man to wet his tongue after all that talking? Eh? Yeah, why not? I paid the tout, I've got plenty of money, but if I was being nastier, I could say, I'll spare your life, how's that? I could give him 5 or I could give him 10. I'll give him 5, because I've only just said on the record that he did more for me than the person I gave 1 copper to, so 5 coppers it is. He glances around to see if anyone saw the exchange, then tucks the jink. The jink? It's quite a good name for money, because it makes a little jinking noise. In the folds of his robe. Thank you kindly, cutter. May the lady's shadow pass you by. Whose?
Wait a minute. Lady? What do you mean?
The mistress of Sigil? You've not heard of her? You must be blessed. Or more clueless. Know little about Sigil, indeed. He laughs weakly. Lady's words law here in Sigil. He thinks for a moment. Except she don't say much. Dead silent she is, actually.
Some law?
He looks at you warily. Don't want to be talking too much about her, cutter. You don't want to cross her shadow, nor be singing her praises, all right? Now let's say no more about it. Rattling your bone box about the lady is dim indeed.
Farewell then.
Okay. So there's something called the lady, and she swoops about. People end up in her shadow, either metaphorically or literally, and that's bad news. Yeah. Well, look, let's stop there, because I do way too long videos as it is, and it's also time for me to go and work on a song that I'm doing. So, in fact, it's past time. So, I'm going to save my game. Start part 9 there. And we'll part there. We're back on track. Torment continues on, and hopefully next time the sun will come up so that we can actually see where we are, because I really don't know at the moment. Goodbye! I shall see you again, this time to explore the hive.
I've seen something so ugly I've not.
I know! I'm from Scotland! This is how we talk in Scotland!
Looks like the Dusty's lost one of the deaders.
I won't have a go. It's not like I can do much better. Alright, goodbye. See you again. Hopefully slightly sooner than last time I saw you. Although, no guarantees. It could be a little while before the next video again. Sorry if that's true. But bye. But bye. Bye-bye! Bye! It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Knuckles. Independent flower, magical emerald holder. I get it on with myself, and, oh gosh. Adversaries get shelved. Oh, in my day, we thought it was, and the service gets shelved, and we went, that doesn't mean anything, but then it is unknown from ME. Adversaries get shelved. That's possible, but something tells me it might be a bit of a supersonic warrior. My brain's a horrible place. Bye, everyone!
I've never seen something ugly I've not.
Ah! Okay, the news!